This show is not intended for the politically correct or the closed-minded. Enter at the risk of opening your eyes. You have been warned.
Why does the media attack an issue? To get primetime ratings?
In my line of work, you got to keep repeating things over and over and over again for the truth to sink in.
The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
A moment comes when we step out from the old to the new, and when the soul of a nation, long suppressed, finds utterance.
To kind of catapult the propaganda.
You are listening to Open Eyes with your host, Ira Robinson. From the normal to the paranormal, from government cover-ups to the depths of our consciousness, we aim to explore all things. From the dawn of prehistory to current events, no topic is forbidden and nothing remains hidden.
No more secrets.
Open your eyes and open your mind to the fact that life as we know it is not as we have been taught. Join us at latenightinthemidlands.com or openeyesnetwork.com as we take this brief journey through the depths of the cosmos and explore what it really means to be human.
Many peoples have sacrificed their liberties, only to learn to their sorrow that deceit and mockery, poverty and tyranny are their reward.
Whether you're online or offline, intercontinental or intergalactic, hello and welcome to Open Eyes. It is Wednesday, December 7th, 2016, and we have a really big show in store for you guys tonight. I'm being joined by a couple of people tonight. I'm being joined, first of all, by Jolene Robinson. Hello, Jolene.
Hello, my love. Hello, everybody.
And we're also being joined by Joe Long. Hello, Joe.
Might help if I turn my mic. It might help if I turn my dang microphone on, though.
That is true. Howdy, Joe.
Kapla.
We are broadcasting live tonight. If you guys want to join in with us tonight, you can do so. The number is 260-494-3937. Our Skype line is JDA Film. And as always, you can reach us over in the chat room at LNM Radio Network.com and join in with the community and the conversation that's going to go on over there. The insanity, yes, that goes on over there sometimes, and the oft talked about food topic as well for some reason.
Yeah, I never understood that. Why food is such a major topic in our chat room.
It's so weird. It's always been that way, but it is what it is. Tonight we're going to talk about the Mandela Effect. Now, it's been a while since we've talked about this subject, and there's a reason why. It's because I wanted to move on to some other things. So we haven't talked about it for quite a while, maybe mentioned it here and there, but as far as a full-on kind of show.
I feel like I'm a permanent Mandela Effect anymore.
Yeah, I think we all do at this point in time. But
that's the point where it's like somebody says something to me, and I'm like, what? No, that's not right. Well, maybe it is.
Maybe I slipped
again. Wait a minute, I know what that is. Getting older.
That is true. That is part of it. Yes.
We're having those senior moments.
Is that what they're called? Okay. So anyways, the reason why I'm bringing this topic up is because I was a guest on the last hour of Late Night in the Midlands on Monday. And during the show, we were asked a couple of questions from his YouTube chat room about the Mandela Effect. And so I kind of talked a little bit about it. And I thought, well, since it's been a while since we've talked about it, let's do an entire show dedicated to it. So
there is one that I've recently come across, Florence Henderson.
Well, we'll get into those. We'll get into those here in just a bit. But let me move on here for just a moment. Well, I don't have any news tonight. Actually, we're gonna do the Mandela Effect all night long. Mandela. All night. Anyway,
Never do that again. Never do that again.
Anyways, I was also a guest on his show last night as well. This was a really awesome show. We were talking about, we were having a round table. It started off as more of a triangle table because it was just Michael, Ryan Gable, and I, but it moved on into...
Edgewise between those two?
Yeah, I was able to get a few words in. But we were discussing...
You and I are two of the most talkative people that you and I have ever met in our lives. We can out-talk just about anybody, and I slightly edge you. I mean, it's a close thing.
It is, yes.
Ryan Gables. And Ryan, I love you dearly. You are an inspiration. You are a great guy. I consider you a personal friend. But man, you can out-talk me, and that is an accomplishment. That is an absolute accomplishment.
This is true.
If you've never listened to Ryan, you really need to check out his show. He'll be on tonight at midnight, if I remember right.
Yep.
If I remember our schedule. You really need to check out The Secret Teachings. It is a great show. Loads of information. Really, really good. Yes, I'll shamelessly plug Ryan. I'll plug him.
I plug him often on the show. Yeah, you can catch his shows at midnight Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays if you guys are interested in his information. He's got a really good show. I love his show. Anyways, we were talking about different artificial intelligences and virtual reality, augmented reality. It was a really awesome conversation. We got a lot of really great information out. I definitely recommend you guys check it out. It's in the archives over there at LNMRadioNetwork.com, as well as Michael's YouTube channel. Just look up LNM Radio Network here on YouTube in the search, and you guys can get to his channel and listen to that archive. He's kind of doing a special thing where throughout all of December, he's putting all of his shows up on YouTube, live streamed as well. So he's been having a fun time with the green screen. I've been wanting to do the green screen again, but unfortunately with the logistics of where we're at, it's kind of difficult to do that kind of a thing, but maybe I'll break it out at some point in time.
We'll see. Your green screens scare me.
I love my green screens, man. I haven't been able to use them in a long time, and I
believe me, ladies and gentlemen, I used to be a target of his green screen.
Anyways, so yeah, if you guys want to join in tonight, you can. 260-494-3937. If you want to join us on YouTube, we're broadcasting live streamed over onto YouTube as well. youtube.com/C/Open Eyes Network. And we'll be putting some stuff up onto the screen as the show goes on too. But you guys can watch our pretty little faces on the screen right now if you guys want to, be a little scared. All except for Jolene. She's our pretty one. Anyways, so the Mandela Effect. Now, I wanted to, I guess, kind of introduce the topic for those that have never heard of it. There are quite a few people that are just now learning about it. Many people out there have never heard of it and are clueless about what the Mandela Effect is. So let me give a quick breakdown of sort of how it started, and we can go from there in the conversation, I guess. How's that sound to you guys?
Go ahead.
So this sort of all began with the death of Nelson Mandela. Now, Mandela, for a lot of people, just recently died. Okay, so just a couple of years ago was his death. Marked a, sad day for all of the world, and many heads of state went over to his funeral and so on and so forth and yada yada. Okay, well, the problem is that many people out there, myself included, remember him dying a long time ago. And in prison. And in fact, we were taught about it in school, Joe.
Yep. I remember. He died in prison.
And that was what sparked the changes in Africa to occur. The apartheid change, all of that stuff occurred because of his death.
Because of a violent civil war.
Yeah.
Because of the death of Nelson Mandela, because Mandela was the arbiter of peace, the arbiter of social change, to do it peacefully and through nonviolent means. He was kind of the African version of Mahatma Gandhi. And when they killed him in prison, South Africa burned.
Yeah, as I said, that was definitely what sparked the changes. Now, Other people remember that he was released from prison, and that was what started the change to occur. So there's this shift or this schism in people's memories regarding Nelson Mandela. And as soon as that started, now for me, I noticed these things before, I guess you could say, the Mandela Effect was a thing, because I'd been kind of noticing some things over the years and talking about them here and there. But until recently, it didn't really get a tag attached to it as a name that people can become, focused on. So what's occurring with the Mandela Effect essentially is this. A Mandela Effect is when you have a memory of something occurring or something being a certain way, but in the reality that we live in, it has never been that way. So your memory of something is completely different than what reality states that it is. And while you might kind of knee-jerk reaction to it and say, well, duh, of course, I mean, reality is reality, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The problem is that so many people remember these things in a very specific kind of way that it starts to call into question whether or not what we're being told is reality is really reality. It sort of spins off into a whole set of problems in regards to what is real and what is just you remembering it wrong. Okay. So,
and seeing just how far the rabbit hole goes.
Yes, because it is a very deep rabbit hole. I'll say that. Now, we do have a lot of different Mandela Effect examples that we're going to give throughout the show. We're going to give some of our theories, of why it is a thing or why it may be occurring. And we would love to hear from you guys as well about different ones that you have experienced, or if you want to call us and say, hey, we don't believe it, or whatever the case may be, you're more than welcome to call in. We're here and we're live. So 260-494-3937.
Shoulders, we can take it.
Sure. Exactly.
Except Jolie, she's got very narrow shoulders.
Just,
girl.
What we're asking for people to do is to just keep an open mind. And if you're completely closed-minded on the subject, there's not going to be much that we can tell you that's going to make any kind of difference to you. And that's one of the problems that I have encountered, because it's a subject that I've talked quite frequently about in the past, is that we've encountered a lot of very closed-minded people to it. And a lot of people, I'll tell you, I have never, in regards to a topic, seen as much hatred and vitriol and people just, being violently lashing out at people as I've seen with people that talk about the Mandela Effect. And
oh God, you should look at the comments that people make on YouTube videos. I've read some of the comments on YouTube videos about the Mandela Effect. They're called everything but human sometimes.
I think the only people that are hated more are those that claim flat Earth. I think they have a little bit more of an edge on the hatred scale of things.
Another group that is a little bit more hatred. Minecraft YouTube videos.
No, those are way too popular, way too big. A lot of people love those.
The ones I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The ones that the pederasts that are using the Minecraft videos to entice children.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're meaning the ones that actually use them as a way to.
It's a lure
to lure in kids. Yeah, I know what you're meaning there.
Though, yeah, and
deservedly so.
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. But you're right. The Mandela Effect are ranked right up there with flat earthers and those guys. It's like, and I don't understand that, because I understand the flat earthers they're a little nuts. I'll listen to their views. I'll talk to them about it. I think they're absolutely nuttier than a Jamaican fruit bat.
Well, for me, flat Earth, to me, I don't believe it myself. I'm waiting for somebody to come along with, the smoking gun proof about it and say,
proof.
Yeah. And I'm open-minded to it. I'm open-minded to everything, really. I mean, when it comes down to it, but I don't ascribe to that theory myself. I know there are others that are out there that are very much against that theory and would never even associate themselves with such a thing. But for me, at least I have an open mind about it, and if you bring me smoking gun proof about it, I'll look, and it will change my mind if it's smoking gun proof. But for me, I've not seen any evidence that has convinced me that it is so.
How many times have we both on this show and on Brothers and now on DTN have said, hey, you want to come on and you want to prove it to us? We got 2 hours. Here it is. Bring us your proof. We'll give you an open forum. Yet nobody takes us up on that offer.
Yeah, I've made the offer to let people come onto the show and be a guest and discuss the whole topic and give us what they've got, but nobody's taken us up on the offer yet. But the offer still stands. It's there. Anyways, so the amount of hatred that comes out regarding the Mandela Effect, it does make me kind of wonder if there's something to it just because of so much hatred. I mean, it kind of makes you wonder sometimes why this huge backlash against it. And I mean, literally, I have seen the vilest comments come out regarding it. I mean, death threats, why don't you guys just commit suicide? You guys are just a bunch of stupid MFers, on and on. Listen, guys, I'll just put it to you this way. For the most part,
King James Bible quoted at
Oh yeah, I've had the whole King James Bible quoted at me on my Mandela Effect videos. Anyways, I'll just put it to you this way. When it comes to the YouTube comment section, you're rolling the dice and taking the chances. I mean, it's kind of the cesspit of Satan's sperm a lot of times when you get into the YouTube comment sections on different videos. Anyways, I just want to say here and now again, we just want people to keep an open mind about things. We're willing to keep an open mind about every topic that's out there. We would ask that people do the same. So don't hit us up with, screw you people are dumb, blah, 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 because that doesn't really prove your argument, right? I mean, prove us wrong, prove us where we're incorrect with the stuff. That's all I ask. Now, as we go further into the show, we'll get more detailed on, our responses to different things that we've had come out since we've started doing videos about the Mandela Effect. But I figured I'd go ahead and open it up with that, just because. Now, I don't know
because never mind.
Yeah, well, we do have actually a Wizard of Oz Mandela Effect here later on in the show. Anyways, so the two of you, now you two have experienced Mandela Effect with me all along. I think started experiencing it before you guys did, but you guys have had a few of your own, to say the least.
You and I was one that was a very personal Mandela Effect, where you and I actually had a conversation that you absolutely firmly and completely believed that we had the day before.
Yeah. Now I will say,
I would classify that under a Mandela Effect.
Yeah, I will say that I was just going to respond to that exactly like that. I will say that when it comes to things like that are very personal experiences, a lot of people that I've, have done responses to different videos that we've put out about some of the more personal ones that we've experienced have said, well, these aren't Mandela effects because the Mandela effect is a wide stretching thing. It's when most people or a lot of people out there have this change. And I would argue with that because I think that any change along these lines could be considered to be a Mandela effect. If it's a change in the memory, that's a Mandela effect, right? It doesn't matter whether or not it's happening to one person or 5,000 people, right? It's still a change. So just because you guys are defining it in a certain way doesn't mean that a personal experience doesn't fall under the same category, right? So that's why we put those under Mandela effect category, because they are Mandela effects. They're a difference in memory between people.
Exactly.
And the difference in memory can't really be explained, So as an example, Joe, with ours, why don't you describe ours real quick with what you're discussing?
This was, probably 6-7 years ago. Had to have been because I was still driving truck.
Yeah.
And we're driving down. I was driving through southern Arizona and having a conversation with you, and you kept saying, we talked about this yesterday. We talked about this yesterday, and started giving me my responses a minute before I was going to give them to you. And it's like, no, Ira, this is the first time I've talked to you about this. And it was one of the creepiest conversations. I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but it was one of the creepiest conversations I've ever had with you. And you and I have had some creepy conversations over the years. And it got, it lasted for probably a good 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden you had no idea what I was going to say. It was like a switch had been thrown and we were back in sync.
Sorry, guys, I'm trying to fix the YouTube stream. Apparently, some people are saying that it's glitching on them a little bit. I just changed the encoder a little bit to see if it'll help out. I don't know exactly what's going on. It's who knows. Anyways, it's a thing. I don't know. We'll see if it's any better now with that little change that I did on the software. But I don't know. Anyways, hopefully it'll resolve itself. But you're right there, Joe. We were having a conversation, and I remember having this very distinct conversation with you. I mean, I remembered every detail about it. And when I talked to you the next day and you said, we never talked, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I can tell you exactly what we discussed,
I had been so busy, I barely had a chance to talk to my ex-wife that day. And I didn't actually call you that day, which was in and of itself an unusual thing. Because usually when I was on the road, I'd talk to my ex-wife and almost immediately get off the phone and be calling him just to calm down.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the story. So it was a very unusual thing for me not to have called him. And for him to remember a conversation that we had on a very distinct, it had something to do. No, it wasn't in Arizona. I was in New Mexico. And I was going by the VLA, the Very Large Array, which is in between the border and Albuquerque. And was telling Ira that I really wanted to stop there, and it was really cool, and blah blah, going on and on and on about the VLA. And he goes, Joe, you told me this yesterday. I'm like, no, I didn't. We didn't talk yesterday. And literally going on and on about this conversation that we did, that I to this day will swear we did not have. But he remembers it distinctly.
I have very distinct memories of that conversation. Yeah, exactly. So how does that kind of thing get explained, right? How does that kind of thing get, dealt with in the mind, right?
It was a time slip.
A time slip. Yeah, that might be. I mean, it very well may be. See, that's the thing as far as this.
No, we're not doing the time warp again.
That's the thing as far as this this Mandela Effect issue is concerned, is that because we don't know exactly why it's occurring, there can be a lot of different explanations for it. And a lot of people have put out their own theories regarding it, their own theories regarding how it happened or why it's happening. And there are some that I think have some legitimacy to it. And again, until we have, I guess, smoking gun proof, we can't say one way or the other which one is correct, right?
Very true. And I can't believe you passed up an obvious Rocky Horror Picture.
I know it. I'm trying to deal with the stream here. I'm trying to figure out why people are having issues with it. Of course, we're talking about Mandela Effect. Maybe it's they cued in and said, well, wait a minute.
Can't have this happening.
Can't do this conversation, right? We've never had problems with our stream as far as getting it out or people having, the ability to listen to it or anything like that over on the YouTube stream. So, of course,
I've got the stream up. I'm not listening to it, but I'm watching it. And it seems fine.
Well, somebody else in our own household was saying that it was having issues, so I don't know. It's hard to tell. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, it'll clear up from here. But anyways, let's do a couple of quick Mandela Effect examples before we hit our first break, because we'll hit our first break, and when we come back, we'll jump into a whole lot of them running, basically. But there's a couple of them now, Joe. you and I are huge Star Wars fans. We're huge Star Trek fans as well. But
which that in and of itself should cause the universe to implode. But the funny thing is, I'll go out and I've got a flight jacket that I wear, and on my flight jacket I have my Starfleet insignia, and then I wear one of the wristbands that says Jedi, and people see that, look at me like I'm insane. They said, "How can you like both? I thought those were diametrically opposed." I said, "I'm diametrically opposed to everything."
Indeed.
But I know the one you're talking about. Now, most people, when you ask them, what does Vader say to Luke when after he cuts his hand off in Empire Strikes Back? That's the one you're going with, I'm assuming.
That's one of them. I have two of them, but that's one of them.
Now, I distinctly remember him saying, "Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. He told me enough. You killed him." No, and I distinctly hear him say, "Luke, I am your father."
Yeah, that's how I remember it as well. But if you listen to it now,
no,
I am your father.
And it's like, and the thing is, I've gone back and watched the DVDs that I have and the old I've still got the old VHSs. I've watched them both, and it says no. I'm like, no, that's not what it says. And that one still freaks me out. That's one of those what the hell type moments.
Another one is in regards to C-3PO. Now, C-3PO, Joe,
yes,
and Jolene,
yes,
is he entirely gold?
No. His right leg is silver.
Has it always been that way?
As far as I know, yes.
So it was that way in the original movie?
Yes.
Jolene, how about for you?
I don't remember. I really don't remember for sure.
I know you're not a huge Star Wars person, so.
His right lower leg from the knee down has always been silver.
I can't say for certain myself, so.
Now, many people out there remember him being all golden with no silver leg. And a lot of memorabilia shows actually that he's all golden with no silver leg.
See, now that I can understand, though, because it would be very difficult, especially for the toys of the time in the late 70s and early 80s to do that two-tone thing, because it was molded plastic. And then they painted the black parts on.
What about for like the books, covers, et cetera, where that kind of thing wouldn't be a problem?
Now that I can see.
Because a lot of that memorabilia has the complete gold as well.
Now, I've always remembered him with the if you watch him in A New Hope, which came out in 1977, and Empire Strikes Back. I distinctly remembered it in Empire Strikes Back because you see his leg sticking up by Chewie's ear through 3/4 of the movie. And as a matter of fact, when R2's putting him back together on the Falcon, he's holding the silver leg in his hand. I distinctly remember that.
So it's a pretty interesting one that people have come up with regarding C-3PO.
Yeah.
Now, for me, he had the silver leg the whole time, too. But I figured I'd bring that one up because that one's one that a lot of people have in their minds when it comes to the Star Wars one. For me as well, though, the Luke, I am your father is definitely one that I remember.
That is one I remember too.
That's one you remember as well. That he said, Luke, I am your father. Now, some people argue against it, saying that the reason why people remember this is because of the film Tommy Boy and the fact that David Spade and Chris Farley, when Chris Farley is talking into the fan, he's like, la 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 la, Luke, I am your father, Luke. However, There are a lot of people out there that have never seen that film and have no clue about that scene, and they still remember the fact that in Star Wars itself, it was Luke, I am your father.
Yeah. I mean, although people who haven't seen Tommy Boy need to be beaten in the head with a 2x4.
Just like in Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
That movie is the reason why I call Jojo the circus boy with his pretty new pet. Anyways.
I will come and strangle you.
Let's hit a break here real quick. When we come back from the break, we're going to get into some other specifics as far as the Mandela Effect goes. We're going to get into other examples. We're going to talk a little bit about what we think of theory-wise. Well, we've got a few different theories that we've come across or that we've come up with ourselves. And we'll see what happens. If you want to call in, 260-494-3937, Skype line JDA Film, chat rooms over at LNMRadioNetwork.com. We'll be back in just a few minutes, folks. Stick around. There are days that the red pill is bitter in my stomach, but I can't get it back out. I think because I have to. I speak because I have no choice. I walk through this dark age we're in with open eyes. nightinthemidlands.com. And together, maybe we won't stumble and fall.
The LNM Radio Network offers a chat room for you, the listener, to connect with others whom are interested in the topics and guests that the LNM Radio Network brings to you. During the live shows, the hosts will even visit the chat room and chat with you, the listener. Click on the big red Chat and Listen button at the top of the website and join us. No subscription is needed at either lnmradionetwork.com or latenightinthemidlands.com.
Why subscribe to Late Night in the Midlands, you ask? Well, I'll tell you why. Late Night in the Midlands covers everything, and through the thousands of expert guests who have joined Michael Vera on his show, come pieces of the big puzzle, which started many years ago. Michael and his guests reveal information dating back to the beginning of time. To this very moment, Michael Vera not only brings you the best guests with the best information, but Michael is not afraid to call out those who are less than honest. You see, in this day and age, we need a radio show we can count on and a radio host we can trust to expose the truth one show at a time. So become a late nighter and subscribe now. Talk radio like no other. Late Night in the Midlands, bringing the truth back to talk radio.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
There is a better radio show, beyond that which is known to the people. It is a radio show more informative than others, and as timeless as infinity. It is the equilibrium between light and dark, between the sheeple and the paranormal, and it is heard at the base of man's ignorance and at the summit of his knowledge. This is the radio show of imagination, a show we call The Secret Teachings.
Welcome back to Open Eyes. I thank you guys for sticking around through that break with us. We were trying to resolve the YouTube issue over there, and hopefully at this point in time it'll be a little bit better. I kind of tweaked some things in the software, hoping to get it to clear up a little bit. I'll tell you what, though, I think that a lot of it has to do with the topic that we're talking about tonight, because as many shows as we do, I mean, we do a lot of shows here on YouTube, and as many shows as we do, we've never had this problem. We've never had the problem of it being glitchy and coming out like this. So hopefully it's just YouTube is, being a pain in the butt as far as this topic is concerned. I mean, that's kind of my thinking on the matter. I don't know. It is what it is, guys. We're doing what we can, and hopefully you guys are dealing with it. And hopefully the archive of it entirely will come out to be okay. But, again, it is what it is. We're talking about the Mandela Effect tonight, and hopefully you guys are enjoying the show tonight. If you guys want to go to the audio of this show, we are broadcasting it live streaming over at LNMRadioNetwork.com. You guys can go over there and check out the audio of it. If the video keeps failing for whatever reason, you guys can at least get the audio of the show and go from there. But tonight I'm being joined with by Jolene. Hello, Jolene.
Hello.
And also Joe. Hello, Joe. Who Joe forgot to unmute himself again.
Yeah, I did. I'm trying to get my tablet to work for Jenny so that she can chat in the chat room, and it's being all kinds of
So yours is being strange too. Anyways. The Mandela Effect. Now, I do want to bring up some other examples. We brought up some of the Star Wars ones that have been flying around, and I have a couple of others.
I have one, and this one's a very recent one.
Okay, go for it.
Now, just I think it was last week or the week before, Florence Henderson passed away, correct?
Yeah.
Now, I know for myself that Florence Henderson has been dead for several years.
Yes, and she was for me too.
She passed away not long after the second Brady Bunch movie.
Yes, exactly.
When I remember her passing away. Also, Mickey Rooney passed away same day.
On the same day, Mickey Rooney passed away. And I remember him being dead for at least 5 years now.
At least. And also, El Presidente passed away.
Castro.
I remember
definitely died
at least 6 years ago. I remember him dying 6 years ago because his brother took over. There was a big state funeral, and Obama actually went to the funeral.
And yet,
I remember
he died the day after Florence Henderson.
Out of that for a week.
Yeah. Yep. But lo and behold, he just recently died last week. We talked a lot about him on the last week as well. Even brought up the fact that it was a Mandela Effect.
Yes. Why are you pinching El Presidente? Sorry, a little McHale's Navy there. Had to do it. Had to do it.
If you guys want to join us tonight, 260-494-3937, Skype line JDA Film. You can reach us in the chat room at LNMRadioNetwork.com. Hopefully the YouTube stream is cleared up now. If everybody over there could let us know that things are being kosher again, that would be greatly appreciated. If you even heard that. Anyways, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Now, Joe, you and I grew up with Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
I adored the Mr. Rogers show.
Can you say Psycho? I knew
you could. Jolene, you didn't have a whole lot of experience with Mr. Rogers, though, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's probably one of the few shows that, speaking of Psycho, that one would ever let her watch without.
I watched it the most at my grandparents' house. But.
Yeah. So all three of us have had experience with Mr. Rogers. Now, the theme song, let's see. How does the theme song go? It's a beautiful day
in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine?
Won't you be mine?
Would you be mine?
Won't you be my neighbor?
Beautiful day in the beauty wood. Don't even. I hate you. I freaking hate you.
Stuck in your head now. Well,
I hated that.
The
song.
theme song has changed. Jolene, you remember it that way too, right?
Oh, yes.
I definitely remember it as It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
And now, he comes in. He takes off his jacket and puts on that zip-up cardigan, then puts up his loafers and puts on those canvas tennis shoes. And I always wondered to myself, why are you taking off your shoes just to put on
other shoes?
Other shoes.
Take off your shoes to put on the other shoes. Well, this theme song is now changed. Now the theme song is "It's a Beautiful Day in This Neighborhood."
It's not this, it's the.
It's the. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Nope. Now it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood.
Yeah, Bill in the chat room even says it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Many, many, many kids that grew up on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood remember it as "It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood." And yet, here and now, it is this neighborhood. It's very
But what's
strange.
the next one going to be? Is the song for Sesame Street going to change?
Don't give them ideas, Joe.
You know, if you want to change a song, there are a lot of them out there you could change. Anything by Lady Gaga.
That would be good, yes. Anything by Miley Cyrus. That'd be nice. Speaking of songs, speaking of songs that have, I almost said thongs that have changed, speaking of Miley Cyrus. Anyways.
Big ol' slip there. Honey.
Freudian slip. Anyways, speaking of songs and the changes that occur in the songs, Queen has a little bit of a
Whoa.
song.
They're messing with the Queen?
Queen has a song. It's a little known song called "We Are the Champions."
We are the champions.
Now,
how does the ending go?
The end of the song. How does the end of the song go?
It's "We are the champions of the world." Bull. That's the way it ends.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Now it just ends at "We are the champions."
That's bull. Because I always remember, we are the champions. No time for losers. Because we are the champions
of the world.
Exactly.
And then it fades out to a piano. Yeah.
I mean, I remember that because that is the song, the ending song of one of my favorite movies of all time. Nerds.
Revenge of the Nerds, yes.
The original, the first one, the very first one. I mean, because because Anthony Michael Hall, not Anthony Michael Hall. God, the main nerd. He played the doctor on ER. I mean, because he went from nerd to like this, sexy nerd. God, what was his name? Oh, that's gonna bug me. Oh, that is gonna bug the heck out of me.
I have two major ones you should be talking about.
He gives this great speech about how, if you ever been called, geek, spaz, loser, and the thing is that he goes, I've got a message for all you beautiful people. There's more of us than there are of you. And that always resonated with me because I have been called that. I've been called spaz. I've been called geek. I proudly claim the name geek. I am a geek. I'm very proud of it. Same as you. You're the king of the geeks.
Anthony Edwards, by the way.
Thank you. God, I was looking it up on IMDb because it was going to drive me absolutely batty. But I mean, he comes up with this great, that great soliloquy. And then because it goes into that as all the nerds come out of the stands, all the alumni come out of the stands, and, that great song is playing in the background and it's of the world. And it's just like, and now that they're fiddling with that, it's like, okay, what are they going to fiddle with next? Trump actually didn't win the election.
It's funny because with this specific Queen example, I don't remember, is it Drive Time? It's some show, Drive Time. Anyways, they were doing they do videos where like different stars and stuff, they'll get together and they'll sing songs and blah 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 blah.
Oh, it's not Drive Time. It's Carpool Karaoke.
Carpool Karaoke. That's
on the Late Late Show with James Corbin.
Yeah. Okay. So they put together Who was it? It was
It was
Gwen Stefani. It was Julia Roberts, and George Clooney.
Thank you. The other guy from ER.
The four of them were in the car. They were doing the karaoke, and they were doing that song. And at the end of the song, when it just cuts off, they're all like trying to figure out. And they're like
ready. They're all ready to do the of the world. And George Clooney's in the back, just twitching.
Yeah, all of them knew that the song ended with "of the world," and none of them, they were all blown away by it. So it's not just, a thing of people's memories being weird. I mean, there are so many people out there that remember it exactly as ending with "of the world." Mm-hmm. Up to and including, these stars who were completely shocked. I mean, they were blown away.
Absolutely. I mean, George Clooney sitting in the back, got his hand raised up going, "of the world." And then they go into the conversation, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah. So Jolene, you said you had a couple of things, right?
Yeah. Hold on. One that we should talk about is New Zealand, the location of New Zealand.
So New Zealand.
It's a major one.
Jolene, where do you guys remember New Zealand being?
Down into the right below Australia.
Jolene, what about you?
What about you?
For me, I remember New Zealand being up and left. Now, the reason...
That's me too.
Yeah. The reason why this one is a big one for me is because some years ago, I wrote a book called Suffer the Children. And in the book, the book takes place in New Zealand. I did a lot of research on New Zealand. I've never been there myself, but I did a lot of research on New Zealand. Knew really intimately.
Go to New Zealand, you gotta fly.
Yeah, well, you can take a boat. Anyways, so I knew very intimately New Zealand. I mean, I never went there myself, but I was as familiar with it as a general person would be, right? Mm-hmm. So when I realized the placement of New Zealand now in association with Australia, I was very blown away because I remember it being in between Australia and Indonesia. That's where it was located for me. And Jolene, you remember it that way as well, right?
Yeah.
So
that'd be a tight fit in there, wouldn't it?
Well, the placement of things was different. I mean, Australia was a little bit further south, southeast, and New Zealand was slipped there in between. And a lot of people remember it that way. Okay. A lot of people remember it being placed in that spot specifically, not where it's at now, but in that spot specifically. I mean, I remember looking at maps, seeing exactly where it was at, So that one's a big one for me. You had another one that you had in your mind, Jolene?
Okay, so this one. Shoot.
Okay, while you're looking it up then, I know another one geographically speaking, that I can bring up here.
Yeah, mine was in the geographic, but go ahead.
Okay, so another geographic thing, Joe, for instance, let's toss this to you while she's trying to find her notes
I
there.
remembered it, but go ahead.
Okay, well, then you can join in here too. South America, compared to the United States, where does the west coast of South America begin in comparison?
Say that one more time. Where does...
So if you were looking, at a map...
I always remembered it being about dead center.
So the western portion of South America
was roughly even with the central United States.
Okay. How about you, Jolene?
You got to repeat the question. I didn't.
Okay, so the western portion of South America.
Okay.
In comparison to North America. So in comparison to the United States, where was the western portion of South America?
Like sticking out? Is that what you're saying? Like, was it parallel? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, like where in relationship would it be sitting? The reason I ask is because at this point in time, Joe is correct that it's very close to like the central portion of the United States, more towards like where Texas is located.
Actually, I'm wrong, Ira, because I'm looking at a map, the most current Google map, and the west coast of South America is even, almost dead even, with the east coast of the United States.
To me, the coastline is placed much differently in my memory of things. It's placed in a different location.
Mandela right now, because I've always, it was a little shade. It was shaded more almost dead center on the Gulf of Mexico. And now I'm looking at it. It's like you could take a direct flight from New York City and land in Venezuela, and the only thing you're going to pass over is Haiti.
It's definitely looking different at this point in time compared to, again, when we were,
It's a lot further east than I remember it.
Yeah, exactly. A lot further east. Jolene, what was one that you had?
The whole JFK situation.
Okay, so JFK. Now, Joe, you know a lot about the whole JFK situation.
Absolutely. Because, yes, my favorite president is Ronnie Reagan. But I have a lot of respect for John Fitzgerald Kennedy. I think this world would have been a much, much different place if the CIA hadn't shot him. Oh, dang! Did I say that out loud?
I like Bill Hicks' take on the whole situation. He went up there to the library and it was exactly placed exactly like it was on the day of JFK's assassination. John Hinckley wasn't there.
Yeah. No, Lee Harvey Oswald.
Lee Harvey Oswald wasn't there.
Shot Reagan.
Yeah, sorry. Well, you mentioned Reagan. It popped into my head. Anyways, go ahead. So the Mandela with JFK is how many people were in the car?
4 and a driver, so 5 people total. Because you had the governor of Texas and his wife, you had Jackie O and John Kennedy, and you had his the Secret Service driver, who's the one that actually shot him. But we can get into that at another time.
And how many seats did the car have?
It had the front bench seat. It had 2 bucket seats, kind of rumble seats. This is where the governor of Texas and his wife were sitting, and then the long bench back seat, which is where Jackie Kennedy and the president were sitting.
So for you, it was basically a triple tier type of car.
It was a stretched limo convertible. It was a Cadillac stretched limo convertible. That's what it was.
So for a lot of people that are out there, they remember it being a 4-seater. In other words, a 2-tier seat and 4 people being in the car, as opposed to the 5 or 6 and the triple tier limo. Now, for me, I remember it as being the triple tier limo personally. Now, this one is not one for me, but there are many that are out there that remember it as being different. Now, these differences, let's go into why there might be differences. Let's give a theory here real quick and see what people think of at least one of my working theories as to why this is occurring. Okay, so there are a lot of scientific theories out there that say that there are multiple universes, multiple dimensions. And I am a firm believer in this one, by the way. In fact, there are specifically, there's one that I wanted to bring up here. There's the, not just the multi-universe theory, but there's another one now, the multiverse theory of interaction. the many interacting worlds theory. Now, this is put forward by a group of scientists that have been looking into parallel universes, saying that they are a reality and influence one another through quantum mechanics. And this is a very valid working theory, actually, as far as their experimentations are concerned.
Quantum entanglement.
Kind of. The team developed the many interacting worlds theory, which provides a new perspective. Professor Wiseman says the idea of parallel universes in quantum mechanics has been around since 1957. In the well-known many worlds interpretation, each universe branches into a bunch of new universes every time a quantum measurement is made. All possibilities are therefore realized. In some universes, the dinosaur-killing asteroid missed Earth. In others, Australia was colonized by the Portuguese. But critics question the reality of these other universes since they do not influence our universe at all. On this score, the many interacting worlds approach is different, as its name implies. The theory proposes that our universe is just one of many gigantic worlds, some of which are almost identical to ours, while others are completely different. They added that all the worlds are equally real and exist on the same timeline, and all of them interact through a universal force of repulsion, essentially bumping into each other. The approach could help researchers test the theory of multiverses. One of the people in there, Dr. Hall, says, the beauty of the approach is that if there's just one world, our theory reduces to Newtonian mechanics, while if there is a gigantic number of worlds, it reproduces quantum mechanics. In between, it predicts something new that is neither Newton's theory nor quantum theory. We also believe that in providing a new mental picture of quantum effects, it will be useful in planning experiments to test and exploit quantum phenomena. Now, that was an article that just came out very recently in regards to this new pathway of thinking in regards to the multiverse theory, that the multiverses, they interact with each other in some way. Now, that being said, one of the things that I have proposed as a theory is that the dimensions, the universes, these many different worlds, are created each time a decision is made. So, Joe, for instance, if you decide that you want vanilla ice cream instead of chocolate ice cream, there's a new universe that's created for each of those decisions. So in one universe, vanilla was chosen and it goes forward from there. In another universe, chocolate was chosen and it goes forward from there. And in another universe, you decided not to have any ice cream at all and have a pizza instead. Okay, so, all of these different possibilities are there and realized.
Then there's all the varied universes with all the varied toppings.
Right, exactly. So, that being said,
a universe out there somewhere where I actually punched Mike in the mouth.
Probably.
Probably beat the snot out of him a couple times.
Anyways, so these universes, okay, I guess the way that I look at things is kind of like as a computer. There's defragmentation that occurs. There's conglomeration of data. Their universal hard drive, so to speak, is there to store all of the different history that's occurred. Okay. And that includes on all of these different universes. So, that being said, one of the things that I've proposed is, in order to save data, the universes that are closely aligned to each other, in other words, maybe the only difference in those two universes would be that you just chose vanilla and chocolate, right? And that's the only difference between them. Well, that's not really, that's kind of a minutia sort of a thing and would be a gigantic waste of space, right? So to save hard drive space, so to speak, the dimensions that are closely related to each other sort of crash into each other. They pop like bubbles in the universe, So you can look at all of these different dimensions being bubbles, like the foam on an ocean beach, right? When the wave comes in, there's a foam that's created and it's made up of, billions of bubbles, right?
Right.
So as they pop, they kind of get larger, they kind of go into each other, they conglomerate together, so on and so forth. And I think that's what happens dimensionally speaking. It's along those same kind of lines. And it does that as a way to save space, as a way to save data. Now, I think that sometimes when these dimensions crash into each other, some people who come from, the universe where X is something, right? Or Y is something, come into this one and their memory is overwritten. Their memory is overwritten to conform to whatever the reality in this dimension is. And perhaps through that, for some reason, some people are aware of the changes that have occurred. And I don't know why that would be. I've kind of posited maybe it's people that have, had some kind of tweaking of their consciousness in some way, like somebody that's had a near-death experience, or somebody that's had ghost encounters, or somebody that's, experimented with LSD. I mean, any of these things could be something that tweaks your consciousness to think a little bit outside the norm, to notice when things are not quite the same. They're aware of things enough to know when things are not quite the same. So when they encounter something,
things is not like the other.
When they encounter something such as JFK, the assassination having 4 people or 6 people or whatever, their memory is cued and they say, wait a minute, I remember this differently. Something was different there. I don't know why, I don't know what, but something's not right with this, you see. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's one of my suppositions that could be going on with this.
That's actually a very, very good theory. That's something that very much could be the case, but I think there's something more to it. There's something that has increased one or two Mandelas is understandable, but this conglomeration,
but to have so many of them, right? It's another thing altogether. Yeah.
Something that has catalyzed it, that has triggered it, that has kicked it off. And I agree with something that was said in the chat room earlier. I think it has a lot to do with the morons at CERN.
Well, that is my second working theory.
I set them up, you knock them down.
So my second working theory, and I think it's actually more of a valid one. Like I said, the one that I just gave is an older theory of mine. It's one that I've kind of been working on for a long time, just again, trying to say, why is this occurring, right? Why is this happening? Because it's hard to sleep at night when you're sitting here being confronted with, okay, why is my memory different? Why am I seeing things in a completely weird way here? What's going on with this? You have to come up with an answer somehow, right? Well, here's the thing. There are some experiments that are being done at this little place called CERN. I don't know, maybe some people out there have heard of it. Some of the experiments that are going on with this place are that they are literally trying to rip portals open between dimensions just to see what's there. Okay. So if through their machinations they are able to rip open a portal into an alternative dimension to see what's there, well, things from that dimension can come into this one. We can have literally a rip in the fabric of what makes the differences between one universe and another. That's asking for changes to occur, right? So is it any wonder that as soon as these experimentations began, we started seeing things like the Mandela Effect occurring?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're literally ripping portals open between dimensions. So the dimensions start to blur together, right?
That sounds like a real good idea. Reminds me of a book that I read a long time ago. And it was actually a comic book series. It was called When Worlds Collide. It was an X-Man series of 2 different parallel Earths literally fusing together, and the chaos that it ensued. You remember that series, don't you?
I do indeed.
I mean, you had one where Wolverine lost a hand. How does that happen when a guy can regenerate? Yeah. These are the things that keep me up at 4:00 in the morning.
Well, like I said, my pet theory at this point in time, I guess you could say, is that CERN does have something to do with it. Now, I'll go a little bit further detailed here. There's a little bit of detail with this one, so it might take me a few minutes to get through it. But it's a working theory that could be one of the contributing factors with all of this. There is a type of computer out now. It's actually attached to an artificial intelligence. This computer is called D-Wave. Now, Google, for instance, uses the D-Wave computer to give you all of the search results, to track everything, on and on and on. The D-Wave computer is the one that's responsible for all of the actions, basically, that go on with Google. Now, the D-Wave computer is a quantum computer. This computer is different than your normal desktop computer. Your normal desktop computer basically thinks in 1 and 0 and in a very linear fashion. It goes from one calculation to the next, to the next, to the next, and it can only calculate with on and off. So if electrical signal is going through, that's on. If no electrical signal goes through, that's off. That's the only way that it can calculate. Now, that's pretty advanced. That's pretty smart. That's pretty good, because everything that we do computer-wise, even your cell phone, so on and so forth, are all using that same methodology, 1 and 0s. Okay?
On off.
On off. Now, the D-Wave computer is different, because the D-Wave computer can do 1 and 0. So, it can compute in 1, it can compute in 0, it can compute in 1 and 0 at the same time, or it can compute in neither at the same time. And it's able to do this in such a massive fashion that a calculation that would take your desktop computer about 32,000 years to calculate, the D-Wave computer can do in about a minute. That's how strong of computing power this thing has.
Okay, Ira, this is slightly off topic, but I'm just had a very, very scary thought. January 21st, 2016, Skynet goes online. 10 days later, it becomes self-aware.
Well, funnily enough, the Department of Defense is looking into IBM's Watson artificial intelligence as a methodology to give the nuclear go-aheads to this AI. They've been in talks with IBM developing that for about 2 years now.
Move to Mexico and hide in a
cave. Might not be a bad idea. Okay, so anyways, this D-Wave computer, again, it thinks pretty intelligently as well, because it's able to go either forward or backward in calculations too. It's capable of computing 4 computations at once. So each one of those computation types that I gave you there, the 1, 0, 1 and 0, neither, it can do all 4 of those at the same time. So it's capable actually of doing 4 calculations per cycle, which is pretty good. And again, it can go forwards and backwards as well. Now, the D-Wave computer also has enough storage in bits that are greater than the amount of subatomic particles in the known universe.
So it's bigger than a terabyte.
A little bit bigger than a terabyte, yes. Just slightly.
Would that be something similar to the storage capacity of the USS Enterprise?
Probably even more than that. Now,
because I remember they were talking gigaquads of memory.
Gigaflops, yeah. Now,
a Googleplex, maybe?
Googleplex. Anyways.
Well, that's according to everything I was taught in school. A Googleplex is the largest number calculable by the human mind, or is the largest number in the known universe, or something like that. So one with like a billion zeros behind it or something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines. So with this D-Wave computer, this thing is super capable of a lot of very interesting things. I actually did a full video on the D-Wave computer. If you guys want to go back into my archives over there at YouTube, youtube.com/C/Open Eyes Network. I did a lot of talk about the D-Wave computer and some of the possibilities that it has. Here's the thing. CERN also has this same computer. And what I'm wondering, and this is just putting it out there as a theory, okay? But what I'm wondering is if in their experimentations that they're doing, if they have, through nanoparticles, entangled the subatomic particles of the known universe to this machine. And through their finagling, if somehow they are actually capable of transforming reality through their machinations by using, like if they are able to entangle the subatomic particles of the universe to this computer system, and then this computer system basically says, okay, I want the universe to look like this, then it changes. You see what I mean?
So in other words, they're not just ripping holes open in the fabric of reality. They're programming reality.
They're programming reality. Right. Exactly. That's what I'm wondering, is if something like that is possible in what they're doing.
Well, according to the theory of quantum entanglement, yeah, it is. It is very possible. And that's eminently terrifying.
It's disturbing to think about. Again, it's just
quite literally, if they want, it seems like if it is what they're doing it. Oh, let's just tweak. Let's just see if this is going to work. Little experiment here, little experiment there. Then some mad scientist is going to say, oh, look, it does work. Let's change everything.
Well, here's an interesting thing, because, okay, if you guys look at CERN put out a video now, what was it, about 2 years ago, wasn't it, Jolene, that they put this video out?
I think it was just last year, wasn't it?
It might have been last year. Anyways, you guys can find it on
maybe
YouTube.
It's 2 years.
Yeah, you guys can find it on YouTube. Just look up "We Are Happy at CERN." In this video, what they're doing is they're playing the song "Happy" by what was his name, Pharrell Williams. Williams. They're dancing to this song, and there's some pretty bizarre little symbolism going on with this little dancing stuff that they're doing. I'll just put it to you that way. But in the video, at the 2 minute and 32 second mark, I believe, they have there's a guy that's sitting at a desk, and he's got a piece of paper that says "We are happy at CERN," and he's covering his eyes with it. Okay. And he keeps kind of shifting it back and forth in front of his eyes. Okay. Then the camera, like if you look down, you're going to see, number 1 Bond written on a placard that he's got on his chest. The camera then shifts into a different viewpoint. You see the guy still holding the "We Are Happy at CERN" paper up in front of him. You see the number 1 Bond written on the placard there. And then you see below that Mandela. So at first I wondered if it had something to do with James Bond and the fact that the movie Moonraker was one of the first Mandela Effect examples that got a lot of people's notice. And by the Moonraker one, what I'm referring to is... Do what?
This is my area. I'm the Bond fanatic. Yeah, what he's talking about is in Moonraker, the character Jaws, which is he had been a very big villain henchman throughout the entire Roger Moore stint of the Bonds. And Jaws was a very tall man, very well built, but his claim to fame was his teeth. He had stainless steel or some sort of teeth that he could literally bite through anything. Well, during this one, he meets this little blonde girl, and she worked for Drax, who is the main bad guy. And what attracted them to each other was that she wore braces. And as the movie progressed,
her name was Dolly, by the way.
They go up to the space station, and I'm not going to get into the whole backstory of Moonraker. That's going to take too long. But the Mandela effect is that what really attracted each other was the fact that Dolly had these braces, and he had the steel
a big
teeth.
old set of braces. Yeah, exactly.
That kind of, but now, if you watch the movie, she has no braces.
No braces. It changes the way that the story played out, because the reason why they were attracted to each other was because of the metal mouth. Right. Now, again, I thought maybe this number one Bond Mandela thing on this CERN video had to do with the fact that, maybe one of the first Mandela Effect examples was with this James Bond movie. However, I think what it is referring to is in Bond history. Joe, I don't know if you know this or not, but who was the first person to play James Bond?
In the movies, that would have been Sean Connery.
Just period. Who was the first person to play James Bond?
David Niven.
No. So the first person to play James Bond was in a American TV serial. There was a Americanized, serialized version of Casino Royale that aired on network television. And it was played by an American actor named Barry Nelson. So combine number one Bond, the first person to play James Bond, Barry Nelson, with Mandela on the sign. Nelson Mandela. So this guy, one of the heads at CERN, with "We Are Happy at CERN," has Nelson Mandela written out basically on his chest. Now, why would that be? What's the purpose of that, right? It's questionable. It's a little shady. It's a little strange. So
I call shenanigans.
So again, I think that CERN does have a lot to do with what's happening as far as the Mandela effect is concerned.
Whether they're just ripping open the fabric of the universe, or they're actually programming it, that's the question.
Either way, something to do with it. Yes, exactly. All right, well, let's take a break here real quick. We're going to do a quick one because we're running a little long here, but we're going to do a quick one for you guys. We do need to hit this break, though, for the station IDs and all that kind of good stuff. But when we come back, if you guys want to give a call, you can do so. 260-494-3937. We're going to get into some more Mandela Effect examples. I've got a whole lot of them from Biblically Speaking and some other, mass media and that kind of thing. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the show so far tonight. Again, LNMRadioNetwork.com is the chat room, or YouTube.com/C/Open Eyes Network. Hopefully the stream over there has been holding up better. I think it has been. I haven't seen any complaints about it, but we'll be back in just a few minutes, folks. Stick around.
Let me assure you that our priority will remain to ensure stability and security.
In order to ensure the security and continuing
stability, security for Canadians.
Galactic Empire!
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
Attention LNM Radio Network listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the LNM Radio Network by calling 605-562-4203? No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 605-562-4203 to listen to the LNM Radio Network on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Brothers at Arms is not about being militant, though there is a time and place where that is necessary. Brothers at Arms is not about arguing, though there are times where things may get heated. Brothers at Arms is not about who is right or wrong. There are many sides to each issue. Brothers at Arms is about exploring those sides, about dealing with the issues facing us today, about coming together and, through opposing views, understanding the deeper truths that are in the middle. Join Ira Robinson and Joe Long each Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on LateNightInTheMidlands.com as these Brothers at Arms discuss what you need to know. Brothers at Arms, it's about time. Have you been looking for answers? Have you been seeking the truth but can't seem to find it? Late Night in the Midlands has the answers for you. Whether you are interested in the paranormal, aliens and UFOs, alternative health information, or just a little hope and inspiration, we have a show for you. Late Night in the Midlands, The Secret Teachings, Open Eyes, Red Pill Reality Show, Brothers at Arms, and many more shows. All here on the LNM Network for you to listen to at any time that you want. Everything is free to listen to, and though it is not required, we are listener supported, and all donations are deeply appreciated. You will not find shows like these in the mainstream media. Go to LateNightInTheMidlands.com to listen. The LNM Network, where the truth has no fear.
This is TJ Sanfilippo, host of Navigating the River Styx. Join us each and every Thursday night at midnight here on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Together, we will traverse the forbidden waters of the paranormal, the occult, our hidden history, conspiracies, and things that dwell in the darkness and the deep. Come, grab a seat by the fire away from the night that is closing in. I have tales to tell you. When the clock strikes 12, I invite you to join us here on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Until then, stay safe.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Open Eyes. My name is Ira Robinson. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying the show so far tonight. I've gotten some responses from the YouTube folks that are saying that it seems to be a little bit better now. So hopefully, the archive version of this will be okay. And we'll see what happens. It's YouTube. It's I don't know. It's the topic, I think, is again, we've never experienced this problem,
Yes,
we've done this a lot.
We have experienced this problem. Anytime you broadcast with Maggie.
Well, I'm meaning like as far as this whole choppy thing goes, you know, the haltiness and all that kind of stuff, it's not seemed to do it once we've actually gotten things started. Yes, whenever I record with Maggie, it seems to go wrong. It seems to go haywire every damn time. I don't know why, but
I experienced that for the first time. Just the last time she was on DT on Brothers.
Yeah.
It was the first time she'd ever been on Brothers, and it took us 4 hours to record a 2-hour show.
It's insane what I have to go through with Maggie. I'm telling you. So, one of the big Mandela Effect ones that has occurred with me is actually our very placement in the galaxy itself.
That's funny because just before the break, me and some of the people in the YouTube chat were actually mentioning that.
Really? Okay, well, that works.
Yeah, so go ahead.
If you guys are watching the YouTube video, you guys can see it now. I have actually an image that I created some time ago in regards to our location in the galaxy and where I remember us being. Now, for those that aren't watching, why not? YouTube.com/C/Open Eyes Network. Anyways, for those of you guys that aren't watching, basically it comes down to this. We are essentially 23,000 or so light years away from what we were at one point in time. And if quantum mechanics or if Newtonian physics is true and all things are as they say that they are, there's no way we could have traveled 23,000 light years within the past 40 years that I've been alive. Just not going to happen.
Now, the thing is, people say, "Oh, we've always been in the middle of the Milky Way." No, actually, we haven't. Read Douglas Adams when he's read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I remember this clearly, that we were an insignificant planet in the outer reaches of a backwater arm of the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah, we used to be on the Orion arm. And now we're on the Sagittarius arm, and now we're on the Orion spur. It's a different location. And this might explain, if we're actually, now see, another theory regarding all of this is that perhaps those of us that are experiencing the Mandela Effect have actually been transferred from the old planet to some kind of new planet that perhaps has been finagled, terraformed, somehow, changed to become close to where we came from.
Earth 2,
yeah. But this might go far to explain.
Disappointing show.
Do what?
Never mind.
Okay. This might go far to explain.
Earth 2, and I said it was a rather disappointing show because they ended it so quickly.
I loved that show.
I did. That's why it was so rather disappointing, is that they ended it so quickly.
Lance Hendrickson was awesome in it.
I've always loved Clancy Brown myself.
This might go far to explain why the sun seems to be different for people. There are some people that are out there, myself included, that are convinced that something has changed as far as our sun is concerned. It seems to be now much more white in nature than it used to be.
I remember being much more yellow.
I remember much more yellow, much more of a calming heat. When you'd go outside and be in the sun, it was much more of a calming kind of a heat. If I walk outside now, and I'm Indian, okay? If I walk outside now, I feel like I'm burning to pieces. I feel like I'm in a microwave almost. It's like my skin is not built to deal with the sunlight that we have here, which is strange to me because I've lived here my whole life, right? So this might go far again to explain why things are different for people if we have actually somehow shifted locations entirely from one planet to a different one.
That could very well be.
Okay, so I have a couple of other picture examples for people. Jolene, thank you for finding these before the show. This is great. So the peanut butter. There's a peanut butter that's out there that's Jif peanut butter. Okay. However, there are a lot of people out there that remember it as being Jiffy peanut butter. I remember it as Jiffy.
I've always remembered it as Jif. You know, when I think Jiffy, I think Jiffy Pop. The popcorn.
I know Jiffy Pop, but I also remember there was the Jiffy peanut butter.
I always remembered it as Jiffy.
So
that's why I've always used Peter Pan.
When we've brought up this information on other videos, people have blasted us saying, no, there's no way that that's true. It's always been Jif. Well, Here's an article, newspaper article from, let me see here. I got to get into see it. I believe this one is from, wasn't this the Chicago Times or Chicago Tribune? Yeah, Chicago Tribune.
Yeah. The first one is Chicago Tribune.
New look in packaging. More foods will come in clear plastic bottles. This is from 1998. And you can find this on their archive. Just do a quick Google search for that exact title and you guys will find it.
Again, the Chicago Tribune.
Chicago Tribune. Now, in the article, I'm going to bring up another close-up version that I did here. It says specifically, Jiffy peanut butter being test marketed in a clear plastic jar. Jiffy peanut butter.
Again,
1998?
No, I thought it was earlier in that.
Oh, might have been 87? 87. This was the one from 87, yeah.
Yeah.
So 1987. Jiffy peanut butter. Right there. In the archive of the newspaper.
I always thought they always came in clear plastic jars.
This next article from the Washington Post, the epic search for the Challenger. You guys can look that up for yourself as well.
Now, STS-51A has been a fascination and an interest of mine for many years.
In this article, it says, trying to get the close-up. You guys know my eyesight. I got to deal with my eyesight here. Anyways, it says that they found things such as Jiffy peanut butter. I've got it circled for you guys there that are watching the video so that you guys can see it. But this is the Washington Times and the Chicago Tribune declaring Jiffy peanut butter. Two different articles from two completely different times, completely different subjects, both of them referring to a product called Jiffy peanut butter. So there you guys go. You guys can see there are references to this product, Jiffy peanut butter.
I said I always remembered it as Jif. But that's just the world I came from. Now, isn't there a Mandela having to do with the Challenger as well?
Yes. There are some people that wonder what year. There's some discrepancies as far as the year that it occurred in. That would be one.
Let's see. I was in 5th grade, so that would have made it 88, if I remember right.
In 5th grade? I graduated in 1989, so.
Yeah, 86. You're right. 86. Because I graduated in 93.
So I have some Bible examples as well. And I wanted to go into some
This is what gets you in trouble, Ira.
It is. It is.
This is why your videos, you have been quoted the entire King James version of the Bible. Literally, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the comments of some of his videos on YouTube, when it comes to Mandela, people will cut and paste either the NIV or the King James version of the Bible and plaster it in his comments.
They do. I don't know why. It's like, what? You don't think I've actually read the Bible? You don't think I've got like 5 different copies of the Bible right here? You know, come on, people. Get some brains. Exodus 34:14. For thou shalt worship no other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. The portion of things where it says whose name is jealous was not there.
No. I've never even, I'm not a Bible historian. I'm nowhere near a Bible historian, but God is very rarely named in the Bible. And anytime I've ever heard of him being named, he has been named Jehovah.
Revelation 7:6. Now, this one is an interesting one for me because, I've done a lot of research into the whole Nephilim thing. Revelation 7:6 now says, of the tribe of Aser were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Nephilim were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Manasseh were sealed 12,000. It used to be Naphtali.
Yeah, the Nephilim are the
are the bad guys, right?
No, the Nephilim are the offspring of angels and humans.
They're the bad guys.
They were giants. Although some people believe that there are still Nephilim walking among us, that they are demon hunters.
Yeah.
They are the ones that are fighting the forces of evil, but that's a whole nother show for a whole nother time. But yeah, it was that the Nephilim are not one of the 12 tribes of Israel.
Definitely
that make
not.
up the 144,000.
Definitely not. How about this? Matthew 27:9. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, saying, and they took 30 pieces of silver, the price of him that was valued, whom they, the children of Israel, did value. Jeremy the prophet.
I believe that's supposed to be
Jeremiah. But nope, now it's Jeremy the prophet.
Is that anything like in Supernatural? What's the guy's name? Hal, or what is the prophet that ends up being in Supernatural? Chuck.
Chuck
the prophet.
Chuck the prophet, exactly.
That sounds like either a mistranslation or a seriously screwed up Mandela
Now,
Effect.
here's the thing. I'm going to say this here at the forefront of things when I'm giving these quotes, okay? Because I've heard so many people arguing with me about whether or not this is real or not, okay?
Go to your Bible. If it's a Mandela Effect, it'll already be in there.
Okay, well, no, because people say, no, it's always been Jeremy, right? It's always been... my name is jealous, blah, 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 blah. Okay, all of these different quotes that I'm giving, they will say it's always been that.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say, you're right. You're right. For you.
Very true. That's problem.
The difference, and that's the problem. Yes, it is that way, and it has always been that way for you because you're from here. Whatever has happened that's made it so that we have these different memories, you have not experienced that. So yes, of course, you're going to remember it as being the way that it's always been for you. But for us that have experienced it differently, it's different. For whatever reason. It's our stuff, our things here, our changes are just as valid as your sames.
Exactly.
So I'm not disparaging. Yes, you're right.
Jeremy the prophet?
It has always been that way for you. But for us, it was different. And the reason why I cannot explain. But it's that way. Okay? All right.
Okay, someone in the YouTube chat is asking where the Jeremy verse is.
Okay, so again, Jeremy is Matthew 27:9, King James Version. All of these changes that I'm listing primarily are the King James Version. And I do think there's a reason, actually, why the King James Version seems to be the one that's getting the most hit. So many of the different denominations out there rely strictly upon and only upon the King James Version of the Bible. So if changes were to occur there, it's going to impact the most people that are under the Christian denomination. Yeah, there's 43,000 different denominations of Christianity alone.
And
most of them use
90% of them use the King James Version. It's very rare to find them using the NIV or the what's the other one? There's the NIV.
The ESV is another popular one, but it tends to be either the King James Version or the NIV. New American Standard is another one that's used frequently. But again, most of these changes that I'm giving, they're actually from the King James Version. Now, I do want to say as well, I do have a quick audio that I want to play here. This is a man named Lawrence Dunnigan, and he had the opportunity to listen to Dr. Richard Day as he was giving a speech in front of a group of people. And this is basically him in the 1990s recounting what was said by Dr. Richard Day in the 1960s. I think it was 1966 that the encounter took place. This may go far to explaining why the changes are occurring, biblically speaking, scripturally speaking. I think that it has a lot to do with why it's occurring. So take a listen to this. This is a really important audio. I think this does go far to explain a lot.
Another area of discussion was religion. This is an avowed atheist speaking. And he said, religion is not necessarily bad. A lot of people seem to need religion with its mysteries and rituals, so they will have religion. But the major religions of today have to be changed because they are not compatible with the changes to come. The old religions will have to go, especially Christianity. Once the Roman Catholic Church is brought down, the rest of Christianity will follow easily. Then a new religion can be accepted for use all over the world. It will incorporate something from all of the old ones to make it more easy for people to accept it and feel at home in it. Most people won't be too concerned with religion. They will realize that they don't need it. In order to do this, the Bible will be changed. It will be rewritten to fit the new religion. Gradually, key words will be replaced with new words having various shades of meaning. Then the meaning attached to the new word can be close to the old word, and as time goes on, other shades of meaning of that word can be emphasized, and then gradually that word replaced with another word. I don't know if I'm making that clear, but the idea is that everything in Scripture need not be rewritten, just key words replaced by other words, and the variability in meaning attached to any word can be used as a tool to change the entire meaning of Scripture and therefore make it acceptable to this new religion. Most people won't know the difference, and this is another one of the times where he said the few who do notice the difference won't be enough to matter. Then followed one of the most surprising statements of the whole presentation. He said, some of you probably think the churches won't stand for this. And he went on to say, the churches will help us. There is no elaboration on this. It was unclear just what he had in mind when he said the churches will help us. In retrospect, I think some of us now can understand what he might have meant at that time.
So there you guys go. I think that goes far to explain why we're seeing certain tweaks happen, biblically speaking. Now, I have a great example to go along with that. Isaiah 11:6 has been changed. This is the verse that refers to, it's a prophecy of the coming Messiah and the changes that would occur in the world based upon the fact that that fulfillment was happening. Now, the verse used to say, the lion shall lay down with the lamb.
Mm-hmm.
But now the verse says, the wolf shall dwell with the lamb. Now, this changes the meaning of the prophecy. You see, biblically speaking, in biblical times, whenever you read about the wolf is always a very dark figure. It's always a chaotic kind of a figure. It's a dangerous entity. It's referred to as, the ones that are devouring all of the sheep. Okay. So the wolf is a very dark, bad connotation to it. The verse was meant to say, the lion shall lay down with the lamb, because the Lamb of God, the scapegoat, the sacrifice of God, was the epitome of Christ. Right. Was Jesus Christ. The lion refers to as the Lion of Judah, which was always the symbol for the king of the Jews. So he's going to be both the king of the Jews and the ultimate sacrifice given by God. It's that's the prophecy right there inherent in that verse. Now you change that verse to the wolf, that changes the whole context of everything. And it desecrates the prophecy to come.
Yes, it does. I also remember in Revelations, another reference to that Satan is going about like a roaring lion, for he knows he has little time.
Yeah.
Have they changed that one?
That one is the same as far as I'm aware. If it's different now, I don't know. But okay, so some others for you here. If my little software here decides to work, but no, I'm just sitting here playing with it like it's a Fisher-Price toy. Of course.
Or a Fisher-Price toy.
Okay, well, I can give you this because this is where my tablet's stuck. So apparently I'm supposed to give this one to you guys. The King James Version and also Strong's Concordance have been changed in relation to 5 different verses. The verses would be Exodus 13:12, Exodus 13:15, Exodus 34:19, Numbers 3:12, and Numbers 18:15. These verses used to refer to the womb. Now these verses refer to the matrix. That out of the matrix shall be born the first male, so on and so forth.
So where do I get my red pill or blue pill?
Now,
and where's Lawrence Fishburne to guide me through it?
And again, I mean, it's the chronic strangeness that goes with the little subtleties of the words that are being changed, right? So, Jolene, you have some others that you wanted to bring up. I'm going to see if I can get my tablet working here again, but I think that the whole thing decided to go crashy. But we've only got a shorter period of time left anyways. So.
Another biblical one you can mention is the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah, okay, the Lord's Prayer. Thank you. That's a good reminder. So the Lord's Prayer is now different as well. Now, you would think, again, the Lord's Prayer is a pretty important one because it's the only prayer that Christ gave to the people. So you'd think that it would be a little bit important to know, right?
I used to know it, even though I'm not, as most people that have ever listened to us at any point in time knows I'm not a Christian in any way, shape, or form. But I was raised in a Methodist household. Therefore, I did learn the Lord's Prayer at one point.
Oh, Methodist. That's Catholic light, right?
Yeah. All the religion, half the guilt. Or no, all the guilt and half the religion. I don't remember how it goes.
All the religion, half the guilt.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody more guilty than a Catholic. Anyways, go ahead.
Is my word I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down. Is that the one?
No. We're talking about our Father who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Okay. You're wrong. You're wrong because now that one is different. That little section there that you just spoke is different. It used to be, and I knew it as our Father who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Right.
Now it's thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven.
Okay. That doesn't make grammatical sense.
In earth. To go further, forgive us this day. Give us our day. Go ahead.
Earth as it is in heaven. Give us our daily bread and forgive us our sins, our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Yep.
Lead us not into temptation.
Yep. You got it wrong compared to what it is now.
Okay.
It's now debts and debtors. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors.
No, it's forgive us our sin. I've heard it both.
Either sins or trespasses. Biblically speaking, it was trespasses. So it was, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive the trespasses of others.
You raised it in the Methodist, if Methodist or Baptist or any of those, it was trespasses. If you were a Catholic, I have a very good friend who was Catholic, and she always blasted me every time I said that because she goes, no, it's not trespasses, it's sins. That's what I was taught in Sunday schools. Forgive us our sins as we forgive those who have sinned against us.
But in either case, it was definitely not debt and debtors.
No, that connotates money.
Yeah.
And Jesus threw the money changers out of the temple.
He did indeed. So, I mean, that's two.
Give us this day our daily bread as we forgive those, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Yeah.
And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. I think.
You were close. The ending's different, but yeah. Anyways.
It's been way too long since I've recited the Lord's Prayer. I haven't even been to church on Christmas.
Jolene.
In years.
Jolene, you know one from Snow White.
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
So in Snow White, the mirror scene when the queen is talking to the mirror, what does she say?
Are you asking me or Joe?
Either.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
Well, in the movie, when you watch the movie, now it says magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all. And yet, so many people out there know it as mirror, mirror
on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?
Yeah.
And for a long time, it was "You Are My Queen," and then it was changed to. Then the mirror said, "No, it's Snow White," and then the queen goes all
psycho.
Yeah, all psycho with the apple.
The apple of discord. Oh, I mean,
Jolene, you know another one, Mickey Mouse?
Yeah, Mickey Mouse. Joe, what does Mickey Mouse wear?
Pants and gloves. And
Is there
shoes.
anything with the pants?
Nope.
Nope.
No. He's always worn pants, gloves, and shoes. Well, when he first came out as Steamboat Willie, he had it looked like coveralls on instead.
So you remember it the way as it is now. I remember him always wearing suspenders, but
he's always had suspenders to me.
That's why he has the buttons.
He
on
always
his
had
pants.
suspenders to me because that's why he had the buttons there. Exactly.
I've never seen him with suspenders.
So guys, we're running.
At least they haven't messed with my favorite Disney character, Rage in a Bottle. Donald Duck.
Oh, Donald Duck.
Yeah, Rage in a bottle. Rage in a hat. Angriest duck on the planet.
I've always thought it was strange too that Mickey Mouse had pants, but Donald Duck had a shirt.
Yeah, well, I mean, he swims. The shirt's above the waterline.
Yeah. We're just about out of time here, guys, unfortunately. And this show has gone really, really quickly. we had a lot more that we wanted to cover, too. And unfortunately, we've just run out of time. I mean, this subject, guys, is huge. It really is. Again, I beg people, please keep an open mind when it comes to the Mandela Effect. Yes, you may remember them as being the way that they are now and have always been, but that doesn't mean that we're wrong. You're right, but that doesn't mean that we're wrong. Something has changed somehow, and that's the point.
True.
That's the point. Let me get your guys' final thoughts here, though. Let's see what you guys have to say.
Go ahead.
Let's let Beauty go ahead.
Oh, you want me to go ahead? Okay. As far as all the Mandela effects go on, if you really want to see a bunch of them, just type in Mandela Effect into your search, and you're bound to find them. And just look into them. They're all interesting. Not every Mandela Effect is going to be true to you.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot.
And a lot of them seem to be connected to Disney.
There are a lot of them. There's some very quantum strangeness going on as the Disney thing. Yes.
Yeah. Well, as far as I'm concerned, the Mandela Effect is just further proof that we live in a much, much, much broader universe than our own narrow interpretation of it. I think that you have a very good point that a lot of it is quantum saving, as far for lack of a better term, quantum defragging on the hard drive. But I also believe that somebody's doing some manipulation somewhere. I think CERN's playing a very, very, very dangerous game.
I agree with you 100% there. Yeah, it could be a mixture of both happening too.
Yeah, and the thing is, the more CERN plays, the more the hard drive's trying to organize itself.
Yep, exactly. And that's one of the things that I'd like to end with myself is as humans, we don't have a full understanding or a full grasp of even how our memories work, let alone how the universe itself works. We don't even understand how human beings function consciously. Okay. So with that being said, don't poo-poo on an idea that's come across or a change that's come across just because you think that it's one certain way. There may be something else that's going on and we just don't have an understanding of it quite yet. And maybe 10, 15, 20 years from now, people will look around and go, oh yeah, that's the way the universe has always been. You know, it's always been changing. It's always been able to be very fluxy in nature, so to speak. And we just now are starting to understand it. Who knows? It's very hard to tell. We can't know for sure until we get to the point where we have a full understanding of every aspect of how the universe functions. And I don't think we're ever going to get there. Thank you for joining us, guys. I appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.
If you guys want to go to the archive of this show, it's going to be over at YouTube at youtube.com/C/Open Eyes Network. It's going to be on our website as well, openeyesnetwork.com. We have all of the archives of all of our shows available there for your listening pleasure, as well as viewing pleasure. We have the links to all the videos there, too. Don't forget, if you guys want to pick up my book, it's now released. It's been out for about a month now. Silent Steps. It's by Ira Robinson. You can get it from Amazon. You can get it from Barnes & Noble. You can get it from Neely Worldwide Publishing.com. You guys can get it lots of different locations. I would love it if you guys picked it up and give it a read. It's a science fiction fantasy novel, and I go into some very cool things with it. I'm actually working on the sequel right now.
Excellent book. Read it. Great book. Recommend.
Working on the sequel of it right now. It should be released sometime next year. So if you guys want to send us an email about anything that you've got on your mind, please do. You know, feedback at openeyesnetwork.com for me, tapemaster at openeyesnetwork.com for Joe. And if you guys want to meet us on social media, we're everywhere. Open Eyes Network on all of the different social media platforms out there. So, interact with us, join with us, and hopefully you guys have had a good time tonight. Keep an open mind. You never know what's real, to say the least. Until next time, keep safe out there and have fun. And thank you so much, as always, for listening. We'll be back again 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow with Brothers at Arms. You can hear more of me and Joe as we travel this universe together. Have fun, folks.